Okay, so what we're going to do in this developer diary is talk a little bit about the progress that we've made with Easy Money in the last couple of months. Probably it's been a long time since we put out the first one, and it's high time we put out a second developer diary. Particularly because we've had a really busy couple of months at Robot Overlord. We've been doing talks all around the world. So I've been speaking about AI in games in general as part of a world tour. I did 9 talks in 4 weeks on 3 continents, which was interesting. But one thing that we did do is that me and Heather were in Boston for the No-Show conference that took place back in July, and we were talking about Easy Money. We were talking about what we've been doing in our procedural content system. Honestly, we've been so busy that we've not really been keeping up to the PR stuff the way we should have been. And then on Friday, I guess, a couple of days ago, I ended up doing a wee chat as one of a few indie developers, talking to Rock Paper Shotgun about what we thought about the new Steam Greenlight system. And at this point, when they published it 7 o'clock Friday afternoon, or Friday evening, I guess, there was part of me went, we've not put anything new up on the website for 2 months, and now we've got a load of people being directed over there. So what we want to show today is the progress that we've made with Easy Money and where we're at with it. So over on this window, hopefully, what we're going to show you is Easy Money. So we're working with the build inside Unity just now. It doesn't have Facebook integration with it. Imagine, so you should be able to see the cursor. Imagine that in this box was a Facebook leaderboard, and you could see your friends and the scores that they'd racked up. And instead of saying welcome offline, it said welcome your name, obviously. So when we started the video, you should have seen. In fact, I'll play it again. There we go. That's the company logo for Robot Overlord Games, and that is the logo for Easy Money. That's what we're using now for the game. And there we go, straight into the GUI. So one thing that we have done is the GUI has been completely rewritten on the back end. It more or less hasn't made any changes to the way it appears to the player, but it is completely working on a separate system now. But I mean, it's working exactly the same. Click the button and unclick the button. You can click. So it's all working the same, but the underlying stuff behind it is completely different. And then we go in to start the game, and I'll just turn the developer panel off for just now. So as you can see, we've got completely different art assets from what we had before. We've actually put some real art in place, so we were pretty happy with the way that that's looking. And we can move the ball around, and it's pretty much exactly the same. Mechanically, it's the same game, but everything looks a little bit more tidy, and we've sort of polished things up a little bit. Right now, what we have been doing lately is working on balance and tuning. Has been a really big thing for us because, like we've said previously, one of the big things that Easy Money is all about is procedural content. So that's mechanically underpinning everything. So these levels that we're exploring, the mazes that we're playing in, they've not been written by us. These are being crafted by an algorithm as we start the game. That's great, that's fine. But the big problem with that is making sure that it's crafting spaces that are engaging to the player. And if we're not sort of keeping on top of that and making sure that the mazes that we're generating are interesting, that's a problem. So what we've been doing is using a lot of feedback from players. We're in sort of a public alpha just now, looking at this stuff. We're gathering as many logs as we can find. We're logging everything that's happening on the alpha tests. And what we're doing is we're feeding that back into tuning the procedural content system, and also looking at the difficulty progression, because these are the two things that we really want to nail. We want to make sure that we're generating procedural spaces the way we should be doing, and we want to make sure that it scales properly over the life cycle of the game. as you progress, you're finding increasingly difficult spaces. One thing, if you were paying attention earlier, one thing that we're using to do that is this debug panel. And that's telling us some stuff about where we're trying to get to and where we are. That was to debug some issues we were having with detecting the end of the level. And then this is all related here to difficulty progression. We're talking about scaling up the chance of the mines. We're talking about the number of mines in the level, being able to see that. And we're changing how sort of widely they wander from their initial starting point. We are going, so the next thing on my list at least is redoing an awful lot of that. Right now it's kind of hacky the way it's put together, and it's some of it's hard coded, and we're going to be taking it apart, putting it back together, and putting it back together in a way that's a lot more flexible and a lot more adaptable. The procedural content system that we have got is working really well for us, and one of the nice things about it is that because of the modular nature, it's actually we've packaged it up and we've handed it off to another team who have put it in. They were working for a game jam a few weeks ago, and they had a very sort of they needed procedural level generation, and we were able reasonably easily to pack up what we've got, put it in a box and give it to them, and sort of, I don't think they used it necessarily line for line. I think it probably needed a little bit of smoothing to make it work. But what we have here is a really flexible way of generating these spaces, and we're really proud of it. And looking at taking these sort of procedural spaces a little bit further, what we're just to sort of tease where we're going with it, we want to be able to tailor content and tailor mazes specifically to individual players. We have a lot of analytics data. We'll be gathering more of this as we proceed through testing. But if we can do analysis on that and bring back some more traditional AI, we can actually tailor the way the content system is working in real time. That's really, really interesting, because if we can start making games that are catering to specific players, but making them general, and then they tailor themselves to the specific players, then I feel like that is a really interesting way forwards. So just to show you a little bit of how these things change, so this is a new level clear dialog box that we've got, and now the chance of the mine is scaled up. There are more mines this level because of that, so that's a random, that's just showing the results of this chance, and they're also moving a little bit faster, moving a little bit further. So this is the kind of thing that we're doing with Easy Money, and you can see that we've made quite a bit of progress despite being, I was on the road for like a month or however long it was. So we're both swamped, but we're finding time to work on it, and that's really exciting to us. So if you want to learn more about Easy Money, about what we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter. Robot Overlord Games is at @RO_games, and you can find that on Facebook at facebook.com/Robot Overlord Games. To engage with me and find out what I'm doing more on a personal level, I'm at Luke D. You'll find that I'm bitching about things quite a bit. And our artist and designer and everything that I don't do is Heather Decker Davis. You can find her again on Twitter at Heather M Decker, and I really hope that you'll reach out and you'll engage with us, and you'll tell us how you're finding it. You can find the public alpha at easymoney.robotoverlord.co.uk. Go ahead, play it, give us your feedback. We're really interested to know how you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying it. And there's a new build coming eventually. There's going to be a lot of new content in that build. We're talking about putting these hazards and mines, we're talking about putting that kind of thing into the corridor space, so that it's not just occupying the rooms. We're talking about making it much more interesting and a bit more of a diverse game. So that's what you'll see coming from us in the next month or so. Thank you very much for listening.